Hi Cooking Cronies. I hope this video finds you happy and healthy in our 2021 year. I want to thank Vicki for taking over and doing recipes for me. My hours at work had increased a little bit, and then my husband and I both got COVID. We have recuperated and we're well and we're back, and I'm back to my 3 days a week. So I have a recipe that I want to share with you. It's not an actual recipe, it's just something that I throw together because he loves beef tips and gravy, and so this is the version that we use here. So I'm going to start with some vegetable oil in my pan, and I'm going to have it on medium-high heat. And I probably have about 1/4 of a cup of vegetable oil, maybe a little less. And turn my heat on here. And once that starts to get the shimmery look, then I will add the meat. And I have pre-cut some steak that I had in the freezer. I had a little bit of sirloin and a little bit of chuck, and I've just cut it into small cubes, about 1-inch cubes. And as soon as this heats up, I'm going to put the meat in there and start browning it. I've also pre-cut 1 small onion, and I've just sliced it. And I didn't think ahead, so I didn't have any bell pepper, but these are pepper strips from C&W. And I like to keep these in my freezer for the instances when I need peppers and I don't have fresh ones. This is a nice go-to. So this is what we're going to do today. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I'm sure glad to be back. So let's get started. All right, this is heating up nicely, so I'm going to go ahead and put the meat in there. You can hear the sizzle. And wash my hands. I keep a sink full of dishwater available for me to continually wash my hands in. I'm going to salt and pepper my meat. Always seems like they make the holes too small on the pepper shakers, so it's easier to take the whole lid off. And I've mentioned this spice to you before, and it's one of my favorites when I'm making like a stew or whatever, and it is Herbe de Provence. You can see that there. I love it. Comes with its own spoon, so I'm going to put 2 heaping spoons in there to cook with the meat. And then last but not least, the garlic powder. Again, you know how we love garlic powder, so there we go. I'm just sprinkling it in. All right, so let me put my spices away. And we'll get this meat browning. I have some water boiling because I didn't have any beef stock, so I'm going to have to use bouillon cubes in this, along with a soup mix. Let me dig this out. Well, you know what? I have beef consomme in my cupboard, so that's what I'm going to use. And I'll probably need a little water anyway, but that's going to be my main liquid. All right, thank you for telling me. All right. Once this meat is browned, I'm going to add some flour to it. Well, actually, I'm not. Once this meat's browned, then I'm going to add my onion and the bell pepper to it. Actually, right before it gets all the way, once it loses the pink. And I'll add the onions in there too. This just looks beautiful. I think you can see it from my bird's eye camera up there. Of course, my dog has to come into the kitchen too, just in case I spill something. He's my cleanup guy. And what I'm going to serve with this tonight is probably some peas, but I'm going to serve this over noodles. So it's been something that Mike has asked me to cook for a couple months now, and I don't know why I hadn't. It's nice and simple, but tonight he's getting his wish, so here we go. Now when my brother does this, he uses onion soup mix, but I prefer to have the onions in here. And since I have the beef consomme, I'll probably get the same effect. I just love the size of this pan. I think I tell you that every time I cook with it. The only bad part about this pan is that even though the handles have the rubber, they get hot. So I keep pot holders close by. All right, this looks good. So I'm going to add my onion. And I'm going to put probably half a bag, which is left. And look at how beautiful those are. And put those in the meat to cook. And once the onions start to get a little translucent, then I'm going to add the flour to thicken things up. Now my son was here from Arizona, and he's a cook. He's learning to be a cook. And he loves our green chili recipe. He said he finally has perfected it. And so I hope that you all are enjoying our recipes, because I know Vicki and I sure enjoy sharing what we cook for our family with you. So I'm getting a little can opener here to open up this soup mix, or the beef consomme. I guess, I don't know if you consider it soup. I actually bought it because I bought a couple cans of it the other day because I made a delicious Bloody Mary mix for the new year. It was quite yummy. All right, this is looking really good. I think you can see it. That onion didn't get too small, but that's okay. So I'll grab my flour. And I'm going to put about 1/4 of a cup. No, I think I'll put 1/2 of a cup. This is 1/2 of a cup measuring cup. And I'm going to put 1/2 a cup of flour in there as my thickener. Well, looks like I cut half my head off, but you know it's me. I'm just glad to be back with you all. All right, this is getting mixed nicely. Hear it sizzling. I'm going to cook out some of the flour, so it doesn't have a floury taste. Probably won't, because it's going to simmer for a little while. And while it's simmering, I'll get my water on to boil for my egg noodles. Well, I was in quite the cooking mood today, so I made a big pot of pinto beans, and I also made zuppa toscano. I got the recipe. It's knockoff from the Olive Garden soup, and let me tell you, it was delicious when I tasted it. So this way Mike and I have food to eat all week, so when I go to work tomorrow and I come home, I don't have to start my meals from scratch. All right, so I'm going to pour this in there. Low in fat and no artificial flavoring. Wonderful. So mix that with the beef. Gosh, it's such a pretty dish with those 3 different color bell peppers in here. And now I'm going to add my boiling water to that. And I'm going to add a little more than normal just because it's going to simmer and cook down. I want it to be the thickness of gravy when it's done cooking. So what I also want to do is add a dash of Worcestershire. And I'll just add a couple of splashes of this, because beef just enhances the flavor of beef and Bloody Marys. All right. So I think I'm going to add about 3 beef bouillon cubes to this. All right. This is already coming to a boil because of the hot water. So there's 1. 2. And 3. So give that a stir. It's already got a really nice consistency to it. So I'm going to turn it down and let it simmer for about 30 minutes. And I'll be back. Stay with me. I failed to mention I am putting a bay leaf in here as well, and I'll take it out before I serve. What reminded me was when I got my egg noodles out, there was a bay leaf in there with them, and as I've mentioned before, I put bay leaves in my pasta noodles, in my flour, in my sugar. It just keeps weevils out. Don't know why, but I was told that by my great-grandmother, and it works. So I'll continue to simmer this. You can see how beautiful it looks. Smells just as wonderful as it looks. And when the water comes to boil, I'll start my egg noodles. Okay, I'm going to give this a taste to see if I need to add anything else. Salt, pepper. No, it's perfect. I'll let it continue to simmer. The water is starting to look like it wants to come to a boil. So as soon as that does, I'll add the egg noodles to my salted water. I'm going to cook more than we need for this evening because obviously we'll have leftovers and it'll be good, good for lunch tomorrow. So let's see how this saga continues. The water's boiling briskly, so I'm going to add my egg noodles. I'm just going to put them in there by the handful. And I'll cook them for about 10 to 12 minutes. And then I'll test them. see what that looks like. Go a few more in there. All right. I'm going to set it for 10 minutes and I will check it then to see if it needs to cook longer. I'm going to put the lid on there just to bring it back to a boil quicker, and then I'll take the lid off so it doesn't overflow. When it gets to 6 minutes, the timer gets to 6 minutes, I'll put the peas in. They'll just be microwaved. So it's a nice, easy dinner. Okay, so it's 6 minutes. Actually, there's only 3 left. I got interrupted. My daughter called me, so there's only 3 minutes left on the pasta, and I got to cook that for 6, but that's okay. It'll all work out. I had a leftover hoagie roll, so I sliced that in half and have it in the oven, my little toaster oven, so we can have some bread if we want bread. These noodles look pretty. They were a combination of white and whole wheat noodles. Yeah, I'm going to turn this off and just let it sit while everything else is cooking. That looks wonderful. I hope this recipe becomes a favorite of you and your family, because like I said, we sure enjoy it here. I don't cook it as often as Mike would like, but when I do cook it, it's enjoyable to all. So you can also cook this with rice. My daughter that lives here in town, her husband is not a pasta eater or a potato eater, so they eat a lot of rice, so this would be great over the rice. I'll get my colander out. I wash my pots and stuff as I go. I don't know if any of you have tried this, but I love it for just like onesies and twosies of stuff that needs to be washed. Vicki actually turned me onto this when we were camping, and I bought it and I love it for like my pots and pans and anything that might have a little grease on them. This works wonders, so give it a try. It's the Dawn Ultra Platinum Power Wash Dish Spray. That's my commercial for the day. How about this old colander? It was my grandmother's, and my mom used it, and when my mom passed, I got it, so it's kind of a nice memento. That is my bread. Oh, that's I got so many buzzers going on here. That's the noodles, so I'll check it before I turn the water off. And I like to check the whole wheat pasta just because it seems like it takes longer. Oh, perfectly cooked. Turn that off. And I will take it over to the sink and drain it. That's got 2 minutes left. My bread is done. So I will turn it off. All the butter is melted. Delicious. See that? Put it on my cutting board and cut it into slices here in just a moment. Once the peas are done, they need to sit in the microwave for a minute. So when we hear the ding, we'll just let them sit. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer the noodles into a bowl and pour the beef tips over it. Look at how pretty that is. And then I'll just get a ladle and scoop some of this in there. There's that bay leaf. Take it out. And of course, you know I don't like to waste anything, so scrape this, get all that yummy goodness out. Just get those peas out of there. I almost forgot. So we'll get the peas out, and what I'll do here is add a little bit of butter to the peas. Look at that. Just as if you'd picked them off of the vine and took them out of their pod. All right, only. I just have some Kroger Parmesan shredded cheese. So this is what the plate will be. And a piece of bread. So this is my meal tonight. And let's give it a taste. This meat should be nice and tender. Delicious. I hope you give this recipe a try and subscribe to Cooking Cronies. Take care and God bless.